Hey, good afternoon. This is Mike Verinder with Modern Software. Today we're continuing our series on autonomous SDLC, and I thought it would be neat to add Marcel and to have a chat with Marcel about Wopee.io. So welcome to the channel, Marcel. It's good to see you, man.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, so I have been an admirer and an avid follower for probably the last year and a half, maybe.
Good, good.
You started doing some videos on YouTube and some live sessions, I think,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh wow, this is exactly a year ago,
Uh-huh.
at least a year ago. This is exactly where we should be going a year ago. You know how things move so quick
Yeah.
uh, in this environment. But I thought it sounded like you were on the right path a year ago. And we're just now starting to get engaged, and just now getting a chance to chat with you. So how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. What? So you are? Where are you right now? I am in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised because I was trying to bring my ideas to the basically European colleagues and community. So if you notice it from US, it's pretty interesting. And I'm based in Prague, in Czech Republic,
Okay.
and visiting a lot of cities across the Europe and talking on the conferences and trying to share the excitement about the topic. So I'm happy that you noticed that. So yeah, yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about Whoopee.io and what you guys do and kind of what your sweet spot is.
Yeah.
Uh, can you
It
can
could
you
be
tell
a
us a little
long
bit?
story or short story. I don't know whether to start short or
Oh, I don't know. Give us a long. We got plenty of time.
okay, okay. So I'll start maybe with the how I found the idea because maybe 10, 12 years ago I found one company providing the testing services and consulting for the customers, and they asked me after a couple of years delivering various trainings including these kind of ISTQB and all these standards and everything. They said, you know what, Marcel, we already know how to automate, everything is set up, but we feel like we solve already the problem of test automation, but how we could advance it, how we could go further, how we could what's the next topic to solve after test automation. And I was super excited about the idea, so I said, aha, that's a good question. Let me deliver some workshop for you. And I didn't know the answer to the question, but I found this super interesting. So I explore all the materials on the internet. I read the blog posts, watch videos, look at a lot of stuff, and I found multiple ideas. I mean, maybe you might find it somewhere like 8 ideas how you could enhance your automation to make it more autonomous. That was but one of the first materials I was producing, and I felt like it got a lot of interest. And one of the idea in that eight was autonomous testing. And in that time, there was some report from Gartner, and they said that this will basically eat up the standard approach. That this will blows up and it will be everywhere. And I felt like, okay, this is great idea, but I don't want to be so theoretical. I would like to have some demo. So for each and every idea, I was preparing demo by picking up some open source tools or even commercial ones. But for this particular one, I was failing. I was not able to anyhow tweak any open source tool, any commercial tool, anything to bring in and say this is how it could work. There was a lot of tools to generate the test cases. There were all this self healing stuff or another thing, but nothing like one packaged solution where you could
Yeah.
get that autonomous experience or at least some like small flavor of it. So I said I would like to build it, and of course as a proper consultant I start building the idea in PowerPoint. So that's the best tool to build something, and I was just start sharing that with potential customers. And then I've got two who got interested, and they said, if you build what you have in the PowerPoint, we would like to use it. We will pay you to do that. So we start building that tool, and we end up with Wopee as a product, as a startup, and we spin up a spin off. That's the right English probably word for that, from the previous company, that idea into the startup. And you allow me to have the long story, so this is just beginning, but I will try to shorten it now. So what is it about and how it works? We focused on web app because we said we cannot solve all the issues. We need to somehow focus. So what we are doing is web automation, or autonomous test automation, or autonomous approach on top of automation. And what it does is that from URL, you are getting automated scripts you can execute, and you can get some reports. And at the beginning, we were super naive. We felt like you will give me. We sometimes said that it will be something like Spotify for testers, where you have your favorite playlist, which would be some test suites to execute, and you just play them by pressing the button, and you don't need to touch it at all. You just provide the URL. But then we find out that people don't want that. They were pushing back and say, I want to see what's going on there. I want to adjust the behavior. So we keep adding some more and more functionalities. So what is it now? It is basically a tool where it still converts URL into test cases. At the end, it's in Playwright, and you are getting the reports, but the process itself is basically staged into four basic steps, where we first transfer the URL into some set of screenshots and HTML files.
Hmm.
So we collect the data, and from the data we generate something what we call application context, because you need that for the AI to be more efficient. And from that we generate user stories, and from user stories we generate the test cases, and from the test cases we generate the playwright code, and on top of that we have some light reporting to see what's going on there. So this is
Wow.
basically it. The problem of that is that this is not a real life scenario. You typically get the user stories, you typically get the test cases, but for the demo purposes I'm still using this to explain what we could help with, and you can fully integrate it into your organization, or you could take only just some of the pieces. So for instance, you might have your user stories and you want to generate the test cases, or you want to generate from the test cases, you want to import your test cases and get the automated scripts. So this is the mission. So we have the autonomous kind of flavor of the tool, but you can still turn it into traditional automation or traditional testing process.
Yeah, so I think when I first started following you, the first thing I saw was visual testing. Was that the first, I guess, product that you had come out, or was the end to end automation the first product that you had come out?
When we start, that was very. I now could admit that it was a very stupid crawler collecting screenshots and comparing them. But we felt like the how to build autonomous assertions. So the first idea was that we will just collect the screenshots and then compare the baseline or the expected result, as we say, with some actual screenshot. So that was our assert, autonomous assert, comparing the images. But then you find out that sometimes the rendering change, or there are some dynamic elements out there, and you are just keep improving this. But it it is super useful, but for very specific use case, and there is some scalability limit. You cannot go further with that. But in the time when we start building this, there was ChatGPT 3.5 released,
Mhm.
and in that time we believe that we will use some PyTorch or TensorFlow to build everything. But a lot of technology we believe we need to build is now REST API call for us, so we don't need to code so much anymore. So
Yeah.
from that time, when there is that was visual testing tool, and actually our first customers were super sensitive on visuals, so they were using this visual testing tool, and it's still there. But for now, for us now, it just small component in compared to what we are building now. It's much bigger, and we use this visual testing feature to empower the agents we are building. But yeah, I
I,
let you
I
drive the show.
I guess what I have found is that people that want visual testing want it done really, really well, and
Hmm.
really, really detailed. And uh, you know, back when Appley Tools was the only game in town for visual
Hmm.
testing, you
Yeah.
know, uh, they dove really deep.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
good way to say it. Probably is that they
Yeah.
dove really deep into visual testing. That's all they did, and you saw this big plume of vendors come out. I mean, you name the vendor.
Yeah.
Every vendor came out
Yeah.
with their own visual testing solution, but it was, it's my show. I can say what I want. They all kind of sucked.
Yeah. But
So
I,
they all were just so light that it wasn't really that helpful, um, and because you do kind of have to go deep into it to really catch a lot of the
may
worthy
I,
bugs, I guess you
may
could
I
say.
disagree in your show?
Of course.
I can share you. I can share my experience. I think you are right, but it's just half of the story because we are also selling the visual testing, and I'm talking to the potential customers, and
Yeah.
also customers of Apply Tools and customers of other competitors, and so on. And what I found out that there are extreme cases. Some customers are super crazy in deep features or these deep functionalities and like complex things, which Apply Tools provide. But some of them need just super simple tool to run the screenshot comparison.
They don't care about pixel validation, and they just want to make sure there's no JavaScripts going nuts kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, as well. But also this deep. How to say that this. The company crazy about all these details of visual testing on the one side, and on the other hand there are also companies doing very light visual testing or screen comparison.
Yeah.
Between these two groups there is big gap. There is almost field of nothing. So either you deliver some extremes, not extreme but super complex advanced solution, or simple solution, and I still believe we are on that simple side
Yeah.
of that what we are doing. And I noticed that there are some companies where we are like not enough at all, and some companies which is pretty good and enough and simple to use it with us. So this is something what if I would compare it with the Apply Tools, we are on the opposite extreme. It's super light solution, just basic screen comparison. And I noticed that for some customers we are not the right one, and they need to go to the advanced. But for many, this is good
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, so some of the others, like Smart Bear has their own visual testing solution.
Yeah,
Catalan has their own. Percy
yeah,
Browser
that's
Stack has their own, right? But like at these other tool companies, those have ultimately ended up being low revenue stream
yeah,
uh, products, right? Because they just haven't gotten that uh, mass adoption like that, like
mm,
let's say UI testing has gotten, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
So, but
it's just interesting. It was interesting to see that whole visual testing
mm,
thing. But
yeah,
you
but
are right. I can see uh, cases where I mean a large segment just want, hey, just show me show me if a Java screen is completely jacking up.
yeah,
The JavaScript is completely jacking up my whole screen and throwing all the objects together, right?
yeah.
Uh,
But
and and it worked a little bit better back when people were like, let's say, just using Selenium. So they were
mhm,
just making sure everything was on the same page, not
yeah,
positioned correctly,
uh-huh,
right?
yeah.
So I could see that. Go ahead, Marcel. I'll cut you
Yeah,
off there.
there is one more topic I would like to maybe touch with visual testing. What I notice also that visual testing as an idea, it's okay. I'm trying to catch all the innovative ideas and all this new stuff. The visual testing is pretty old already, like an
Yeah,
idea. And I felt like last couple of years there was not too much development of the idea, and I feel like there is still some opportunity to improve and change, but it looks like all the companies turn their solutions into some cash cows, and there is no innovation anymore.
Yeah,
And I might be wrong, but if
no, I agree with you. It seems like things sort of have stalled in that
yeah.
realm, so to speak. But it's still an issue. I ran across uh, a screenshot. I had a screenshot yesterday of an American Airlines uh, a booking post, and it was on mobile, and
Mhm.
it was the worst screen you've ever seen in your life. You couldn't read anything because it was all jumbled on the, and it was a native application that it was on. So
Uh-huh.
it's still a problem. But you're right. There doesn't seem to have been a whole lot of innovation in the space around that solution, so to
And
speak. You know?
in that area, I could see one which we are now using, and maybe that might be inspiration for other vendors or other builders, even the one or the companies building their own solution. Is we call it AI visual assert, which is something you don't compare the images, but you query the image. You ask, is there a login button visible? So you might get some more dynamic type of assertion, and this is
Yeah,
something that we are still experiment with, but our agent using that. And I could spot interesting bugs, like actually I was working with one customer yesterday, and they had a simple login screen. You logged in, you see the dashboard, but on the top right corner there is still login button, and there should be your name. And I was like, aha. And this was like if you run your automated script, usually you have scripted asserts and you validate specific things. So probably you wouldn't check that, or maybe you would. But this kind of visual AI assertion might help you to identify some bugs you wouldn't even ask to for that. So the query was, is the user already logged in? And the response was not, because this button is still there, like a login button is visible. So this is something I was surprised how that could be powerful, but also it could bring some flakiness, so we are still experimenting with that. But I felt like this might be some tiny ideas which could come to the visual testing, and it wouldn't be the traditional pixel to pixel comparison or image comparison, but we can use the visual validation in different ways. So I still believe there are some opportunities to innovate, but I don't know why this topic somehow slow down or stop
yeah,
to be
yeah. It
innovated.
just seemed like it kind of, well, we did all we could do, and
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
that's
it's
about
good
it.
enough to give the customers.
So, tell me about agents, man. Tell me about the world of agents and AI agents and
Yeah.
what that looks like. Is in the some of the latest stuff is MCP driven. Does Whoopi have elements of MCP in it, or how's that
Yeah,
work?
that was. I'll start again very broadly, and then I will focus. Uh, in the past, we felt like this screen comparison and automation and TensorFlow and machine learning will be the thing. We will build that via that. But later we found out that LLM and all these things are going on around. So we try to somehow adapt to that. Now we had that, and someone says AI agents, that's the thing. And we just review what's that, how it works, and it was really relevant for us to adopt that. So we now have this LLM workflows, it's there, we have AI agents, and then a new idea, MCPs. And I was like, oh, again, we need to reshape everything. So we review,
Yeah,
and we decided not to go to MCPs because I think it might be too early. It has great use cases, but not for the things we are now working on. So we
yeah,
want to really advance and enhance what we have. So there are agents, there are LLM workflows, but MCP is something like extra interface to your solution. But if you build your solution still, and we are still building it, there is a lot of prototyping, tweaking, experiments, talking to the customers, improving the product. I don't feel like that's yet good time to search for some other interface, because I will just quickly touch the MCP topic. It is something like whether you are opening your tool or solution to API. It's just
Yes.
another API, whether it's REST or GraphQL or command line interface, or
Mhm.
MCP is just another one. So
Yep.
we felt like this might be too early. Maybe we will regret that, but we decided we will not go with
I,
that idea yet.
and actually, I think that's a really smart move, right? So I think one uh, mistake that a lot of test product companies make is something new, especially in the AI world, something new comes out and they're already saying, "Hey, let's build a whole new product,"
Mhm.
without without letting that technology mature a little bit and seeing how that evolves.
Mhm.
But I think you save. I mean, you have to think about it. Market adoption. A market, just because something comes out tomorrow doesn't mean the market is ready to adopt it
Yeah, but I think
immediately, right?
this MCP are great. I really like the idea. I would like to use
No,
them,
I
but
like the
I think
idea too. I'm not trying to say that the idea is
uh,
bad. I'm not saying that at all.
yeah,
Uh, I'm saying let it mature a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
Give it a little room to breathe. Maybe somebody's going to come out with,
yeah,
uh, you know, some really good MCPs that we can already integrate with, right?
yeah,
Or I like the idea too. So I'm
yeah.
not trying to to say that it's a bad thing,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I am saying if everybody jumps on, it seems like in the AI world, everybody jumps on
Yeah,
uh, board and wants to build something out without vetting a little bit of what they're building out. You know?
but, but I think it's super simple to implement if you have time and focus on that. It you can probably you notice that Microsoft now also building MCP for Playwright,
Sure.
so you could get lot of stuff around, or even our competitors working on the MCP topics. But I feel like we need to decide to focus on something, and we are not there yet.
Yeah.
I wish
Okay.
good luck with all the others, and I believe this will be interesting use case for us. But I think we need to wait for a few more months to finalize what we are building now.
So were you saying that Whoopi can take can is it basically they're crawling a website?
No, and yes.
Okay. Okay.
uh, it's crawling website, but not crawling as you might imagine that I just click randomly on the page and collect the data. There is a, and maybe I don't know whether to explain how the agent works,
Sure.
because maybe I will start with that, because that'll help to discuss the details about it. So
Okay.
agent in general works in a way, and I have some YouTube video about it. So if someone is watching us and is interested in more details, I have some YouTube video about it, and they could watch it there. But how it works is that the agent itself get some high level task. It might be test case, it might be crawling the page, but with some specific goal, like navigate to login page, fill in all the data, and submit that login form, and then I don't know, order some product. And this agent is able to cut it down into smaller chunks or smaller subtasks, and then use tools to conduct that task or goal. By for instance, if I have this login procedure task, the agent is able to say, aha, I have these tools available, and this could be open browser, click, fill, maybe assert or validate, or search for locators, and so on. And it just splits this task into smaller subtasks and say, what I should do first. I should open the browser. What I should do next? I should go to the URL. What I should do next? I need to find a locator for navigating to login screen. So there is another tool for that. So it's some set of tools. An agent is able to understand the task, reason about that, try to split it, use the tools. If it fails, it could retry if it's built in that way, and navigate through the page. So going back to your question whether the Wopee does some crawling, it does, but it always trying to have some business flow mission or business flow goal. So we collect the main screens first, and based on that we run the analysis. And you could do it in this way if you don't provide any instructions, or you could say, I would like to now be focused on registration procedure. So you could give the first initial prompt or instruction, and the crawler is then following that, running the agentic crawling, if I could call it in that way, or basically AI agent running that. And maybe you know the open AI, how they call it, browser? No, browser use. What's the operator? They have the operator. So this is something like the operator, but with ability to validate or assert. There are some tools for assertion in our solution.
Okay.
In short, this is the way how it works. So we crawl, we collect the data, but it's agent driven. It's not random clicking or scraping the page in a way that we click on all the links or something like that.
Is the LLM coming up with the data, or how's the data?
It's heavily LLM driven. So agent uses multiple LLM calls and tools. So agent itself is working with LLM. So it's basically calling the LLM, asking what tool to use and which parameters to pass on the tool. For instance, if I have go to tool, I need to provide a URL. If I have a fill tool, I need to provide the locator and the value I want to fill in. So this is basically talking to LLM and asking and providing the data into that LLM and getting the answer. And the tool itself might be also LLM. For instance, I'm having one tool which is shaping the test report at the end of the test case. So it collects all the steps and then give me a list of steps with the statuses and explanation why this fails or.
So I have when I'm on ChatGPT, and if I ask ChatGPT a question, it'll give me an answer. A lot of
Mhm.
times, if I ask the same question multiple times, it'll give me different answers,
Yeah.
right? Do you have that problem as it relates to testing using LLMs, that the LLM gives you a different path from the second time you ask it versus the first time? Does
I
that
would
make
say,
sense?
yeah. I would say we have the same experience and same behaviors, but I wouldn't consider it as a problem. And I'll tell you why. First, you need to work with that as a feature of that tool you are using or technology you are using. And I would ask you, if you would ask three best testers in the world to give you the test case for certain business flow, would you get the same result?
Uh, I guess it would depend on the test case, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of context you are missing now to
Sure.
answer the question. But I think you wouldn't get the same answer. For three different people, will give you three different answers. Someone will go more in detail, someone will be high level, someone will use
Yeah.
more experience they have or some specific experience, and so on. And the
So
question
so
is it good or bad that we have this kind of different
it's it's
answers?
a let's just say it's a different mindset, right? So if you're traditional automation,
Yes, of course.
right, you were thinking, okay, well, I have this path.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm certainly done with this path, right? But if you're always getting a different answer, then
Uh-huh.
then you sort of don't know what if this path is the way you tested it. Let's put
Yeah,
it
but
that way.
this,
Right.
this is a great observation or point or question, but this is the behavior of the technology, or the this is how it works,
Yeah.
and we need to work with this feature or this. You need to use that. It brings you some benefits, but I know what you are pointing on now, and it's that unpredictability, how we can deal or cope with that. And it is solved already. At least I believe we solved it, and many others as well. Because when you are creating something, you are getting the LLM output, and then there is a human in a loop, because you can review and say, no, 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 I don't want to have it in this way, I want to have it different way. I could maybe prompt it or shape it or manually adjust, but I'm getting something generated. And imagine that you would get something like 60-80% good enough, and then you spend 20% to finalize it. I don't know whether it's good or not, but for me it would be huge time saver. Maybe 50% I would save, and rest I don't know, because I need to read what was generated. So maybe it wouldn't be like 80% saving, it would be just half, because I still need to get on that and understand. But I'm getting the output from LLM, then I'm verifying it, approving it, or whatever we will call it, and then I could use the output. And for me, the output might be automated code. So it could be the Selenium script or Playwright script or any other test automation tool. And once I have it and I'm happy with that, I am just executing traditional test automation. There is no random behavior, there is no hallucination, anything, because I fixed already that. So for the execution, I can still execute the fixed code, but the creation now is semi-automated, because we call that discipline test automation, but 70% of test automation is manual effort by test automation engineer, figuring out what need to be tested, building the test scripts, maintaining the framework. So it's not really it's automation, but it's like a process of automating rather than
Right.
automated test.
It's the manual automation steps. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
it's strange, but yeah.
So if we look back to the users while you've been at Wopee, and when you're presenting this at Wopee, like what is an aha moment? Like a moment where like you could see a light bulb going off with a user or a client. Like what did they like best about the product?
It really depends on who are you talking to, because I could say that these new technologies, uh, I would say, democratize the test automation. You don't need to be expert in test automation, and you could automate without the technical knowledge. This promise is here for the ages already. All the tool vendors would say you that you just record and play and it would work and so on. But I think now we are closer to that stage where simple tasks could be automated by non-technical guys. And it's still not ideal. We could criticize it for all the time, but I think
Yeah.
with AI features or AI power, it's much closer than it was before with the traditional record and play tools. So going back to your question, if I'm talking to product owners or some business type of person from the IT, they are super surprised when we crawl the page and tell them what is it about. And it was pretty funny when I ran the demo for some French company, some French startup, and we crawled the French website, and I said, I don't know French, I don't know anything about that, what is on the page. I guess what was the business about, but we've got explanation, something like system specification about the product itself. So the product owner was surprised. Wow, yeah, this is exactly what we are building, and it's there. So that was aha moment for them. For manual testers, it might be aha, I could get already set up and pre-built some CI/CD pipeline with first basic tests to execute, and then I could start with tweaking that code rather than learning all the stuff because it's pre-built. I have some code snippets I could manipulate and work with that. So for them, it's super interesting how quickly you could get in 6 7 minutes your automation project set up. Of course, then you need to scale it, maintain it, and we are still working on to update that maintenance part of it, but it'll be also automated. But you can the aha moment for the manual testers is the this part of being able to start automate even without having the knowledge. And I believe we are building it in a way that it's scalable and like sustainable, because you can easily remove our layer and then you have simple playwright project repository where you could play with it. Maybe some tweaks need to be done when you're removing us, but it's not like a closed solution like black box AI machine giving you the test reports only. So this is the way how we are building it. And then automation, like test automation guys, I still feel like this is something I could see a lot of skepticism there, because the automate it's you probably noticed this big wave of vibe coding discussions.
Yeah, yeah,
And senior developers, they believe there is no one else who could build better code than themselves. And I
yeah,
think we
sure.
have the same feeling in a test automation. If you are really good expert in test automation, you know all the details how it should be properly set up, and you know all the patterns, like testing pyramid, automating APIs first, and then maybe going to the UI, and all these things.
Yeah,
But what AI could bring in is kind of it's breaking some principles or patterns.
it's doing things differently, right?
Yeah, but also like things like UI automation is super expensive. Don't do that. Go rather for after APIs. That's one of the advice. But what if I could this UI generate or empowered by some AI algorithms? Maybe it's still valid, but the pyramid might not be so. I don't know whether it would be steeper or wider, but the difference between how much it costs to automate on API level in compared to the UI level, the difference might not be so high, so big. So these things are changing. It's same like early testing from like waterfall projects. Now we know that the agile and iteration and all these things, we are often getting feedback from customers rather than spending a lot of time on system testing, because we can iterate quicker, we have some DevOps, we can automate. So a lot of stuff is changing, and with this AI it's also something which is changing. So going back to the seniors, I think seniors are skeptical about the idea of AI because they believe that's something unstable, unpredictable, and it's not always following all the good practice like page object patterns and so on. But I would say it is not there yet now. But what about 6 months from now or 1 year from now? If we
Sure.
see last year, then it's completely changing, and it helping to less experienced technical people to be more to be empowered by these tools which were not affordable for them in the past. So I
Yeah,
believe, yeah,
and I mean things like MCP. I mean that's a effort in to help improving responses
yeah,
from LLMs and things like that, right? To standardized uh,
yeah.
that
Actually,
messaging a little bit better, right?
I think MCPs are helping to bring that features I was talking about, like agent,
Yeah,
into the MCP, so you can chat what you want. You can open pull request in GitHub, or pull out some documents from Google Drive, or set up your calendar meet like your meeting in your calendar, and so on. And you could do it from single chat window. But I don't know whether you want to talk about the MCP.
sorry, I drifted. I
No, 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 no
apologize.
problem. I could.
The other thing is just that it's a big world out there, right? And if you look at a enterprises are big, they're complex.
Yeah.
They use mainframes, they use kiosk, they use not only web but desktop and
Yeah. Yeah.
services and mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big world out there, right? There are companies that are just web products, right? A
Uh-huh.
lot of companies are just web products. And so, you might get a lot of different types of observations from people
Mm-hmm.
because their
Yeah.
environments are different. They're thinking
Yeah.
differently. Like, how am I going to use this with my, the Android, that our client that only uses an Android device,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and they need a real device to test on, right? And so stuff like that, you
Uh-huh.
might you might see, uh, you know, more senior people start to drift. Like, they discredit it because they need very
Yeah.
specific testing done, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
but
don't.
that's not
I think.
everybody. That's just a segment, right? So, it just depends on the niche of the market that you're sort of
Mm.
targeting, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing is that it's I would say very interesting discussion or very funny discussion I see when people start comparing this Selenium versus Cypress versus Playwright, and all these things. So I wouldn't push any tool or idea to all the cases. You always need to understand that you live your context, if I would use this term we are using in AI, and you have your past experience, you have something you invest in already. So sometimes there might be completely different reasons why you decided to use tool A and someone else used tool B, and someone decided not to use tools at all and do everything manually. So it's very difficult to judge or compare or fight uh,
Yeah, yeah.
about these topics because it's
It's a
always
lot of noise
to
in a lot of
understand
ways,
it.
right? Yeah. Does Whoopi integrate with any other tools?
It does, but it depends what do you mean by that. Because if we are
Well,
talking about
anything from Jira to
uh,
other testing tools like Browser Stack or Sauce or
yeah, yeah, I'll start from. There are various angles how to look at that. First, we use by default GitHub, and it's I would say I wouldn't say heavily, but decently integrated with GitHub. We use the GitHub infrastructure to run all our tests and everything. It could be tweaked to, and we deliver that for the enterprise customers to other any other CI/CD like GitLab or Bamboo or even Jenkins. And then we use Playwright, Cypress, Robot Framework, and WebDriver IO. And we have pre-built packages, so you can call our backend to validate visually your stuff. And for the Playwright, we also generate the code, so you can run it in code autonomously or uh, in advanced automation. So at the end, you are getting the Playwright code out of the box by clicking the button, and then you can manipulate with that. And then whatever other integrations these days we do via custom integration. So we have some GraphQL API, and then we synchronize with the rest. Recently, we are adding some import functionality, so we will integrate with Excel, so you can upload the CSV file in and out. That will be there, but that's basically it. We don't have so many integrations yet, but yeah,
that's
well,
okay, man. I was just asking.
yeah.
I didn't check out. Well, maybe that's a question for later. Maybe we could answer that later. But uh, do you mind, Marcel? Do you mind doing a demo for us and showing us a little bit
Let's try it.
uh, about
See.
Whoopi,
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
can do?
yeah. So I just think whether to. Yeah, I'll start with this. Oh, I'll start directly in. Let me share first the screen, and then we'll
Okay.
see where I will start. Window. No, I only
And
use.
just to clarify, like, is Whoopee license? I mean, is it a license based or is it usage based kind of pricing? Or
It currently it's per user license.
okay,
We have some experiments open sourced, which you could use like for playing with that and get some inspiration. But the I could
I
call
mean,
it.
it's licensed, but it's usage based, right?
Yeah, you have a license for seed, and then there is some usage behind
Charges
it.
on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen like an unlimited license really that's LLM based.
Yeah, actually, we are discussing now one of the option, but we are not there yet. That we would do some freemium version, but you need to bring your API keys to some OpenAI or some other tool. That would
Yeah,
be easy, but
like
we cannot afford now to give away like completely free version.
totally makes sense.
Yeah. So this is the commander, as we call it. That's the front end to control your testing project. And you could either bring your own URL, but I'll use it for with this source demo. Probably people know that it's from Source Lab demo app. If you don't, you can easily go through that. I'll first maybe run the project, and then I'll show you what this does. So first, what you need to do is to create a project. And now what is happening under the hood is that we are creating also GitHub repository for you. So, and then there is some template project with first playwright setup and some pipelines to run our agent and also the generated code. Uh, what is the next step is that we need to bring some knowledge about the app into the project. So we could either run this crawler or this AI agent I was talking about, or if you have already existing tests, this is for the next or later stages. You can also import the existing test case to be source for new test generation. So you can basically reiterate. You run your first test, then you collect the screenshots, and then let the AI suggest you some new tests. Or if you are running some Figma designs, or if you have the Figma uh, mockups or any other mockups, you can upload them here. So could you still, Mike, see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we need to do next is that I start the crawling. And what will happen here is that we will get we are executing or running the agent. And I think I'm running it now on dev environment. I think we have one bug here, but I have a workaround for it. So we'll see whether it will fail or not. But basically, you can see that we already opened the website, and now agent should keep working on this by crawling further. And based on this, we should get uh, agent should now decide what to do next. And the next one is that it try to fill in something, and it might fail. I will not wait for it, but it will collect some data here. And this data will be used in the next step. I'll show you now what is happening in GitHub. So in GitHub, if you go here, and you could see that this analysis is running, and then you can see the agent. And the agent here is starting the executing the tests. And when I was talking about the tools, so first thing what agent does is that just suggest the test. So it's application login procedure with some description and some steps. And then it start executing it. So first what it does, it navigate to this page. And this is LLM decision. So it decided to go to the page. And then the next one was validating. I think this is the visual validation I was talking about, is this assert visual state. So what is next is the AI or agent is asking, is the login page displayed correctly? and then I am getting answer like status is passed with this confidence and some explanation whether it is there or not. And then it goes next and it try to finding out how to how to fill in the username and password. And if all goes well, and I don't know whether it will go now, okay, we are still tweaking that, but I should get some locator. So this is automatically generated by LLM. Of course, the tool get as an input apart from the query also the HTML file. So it could figure out how the LLM should look like. And it just keep going and trying to log in and collect the screenshots. And if I go back, I don't want to follow the rest. If I go
I'm
back,
on the Wopee commander screen. Oh, now I saw a pop up just now.
yeah, that should be correct. So you can
Okay.
see that the agent collect a few screenshots, and you could see that it has some problem to finalize it. It didn't figure out how to log in. But what is happening next is that you could now generate, based on the data we collected here, some application context. And why this is important to generate this? Because the efficiency of agent is increased by the context knowledge. So at the beginning, there was no any other data than try to log in. Now I'm getting the application context report. So based on the screenshots, I'm getting that application context, including some locators and the flows to execute and so on. And once I have it, I generate user stories. And until now, it's basically just kind of reverse engineering because usually you have all these things. But for the demo purposes, we have this built to show how it could work or what data we need to get. And once I have it, the next one is to generate the test cases here. So I could even upload that test cases, but in this case, I would like to show you how it generates the tests. And based on that user stories generated application context, I'm getting the test cases. And you can see that it suggests these categories, and it also proposes the user stories. And for the user stories, it keep adding some test cases. If I wait and I get all these potential test cases, I don't know what LLM we are now using here, but I could switch to the recent models and get maybe some better results. But what it does, it basically suggests to log in with accepted username and valid password, and already some suggestions are here, and you can see that I'm also getting the steps. And now I need to somehow move I'll move you somewhere else because I cannot see that. And you can see that this test has also some steps, and you can either review them or even say, I don't want this one. Then you
Yep.
can save that and so on. So what is the next step is that now I can run this test either by agent again, so the same as I did for the crawler, but now I have the context. I understand what is the app about, what are the locators, and so on. So I increasing the efficiency of that by collecting these previous data, or I could generate the code based on the data I collected. In this case, now we are generating, and we had set it up in a way that in this case it will be heavily visual test, like a lot of code with visual testing. So after each and every step, I am comparing the screenshots, but this could be tweaked or adjusted as you want. But we want to show also that you can use this Wopee full track with some name of the step, and whenever I execute the tests, so these are traditional playwright code, and then I'm getting this one. If I don't like it, for instance, this wait for selector might not be there. Why I should do that with it's more like a type of Selenium pattern, but it could be tweaked, and I can save that and then execute the code. So basically, or I could even commit that into repository, We are working on better versioning, so there will be branches and everything. But for now, I'm committing directly into the main, and I could go there and see that the test case I saved or modified and now saved is now stored in a repository. So basically, this is it for the demo. I could go deeper and deeper and show you all the details, but from the URL, we are generating everything until the code. Then you can execute and completely control the code in your GitHub repository. And you could stay with that because that will help you also with maintenance, or you just unplug us and use the code there. But for the manual testers, this is magic, I would say, because they could
Sure.
test at least some basics. Then you
Is
need.
there is there like a dashboard or anything that kind of shows where our progress is,
Yeah,
or
dashboard is here, and we decided by purpose not building any heavy dashboard for
dashboard?
reporting, because what you could do from here, you could use any other the dashboard. You can synchronize with Jira, or you can synchronize with Report Portal, or you could use any other tool specifically focused on reporting, because we don't feel like this is our added value. Maybe later we will be forced by the users to build better dashboard or reporting, but for us the reporting just collects the data we need to efficiently maintain the tests we are building. So this is more building tool rather than reporting and execution. Of course, you could do it there, but that's not our goal for now.
Okay, I saw it looked pretty neat. You're using Playwright in the background.
Yeah, in this case, that's Playwright, and we also considering to expand that to some other tools, because we already have all the integration. So all these visual tests, these Wopee objects are available in Robot Framework, in WebDriver IO, and all the other tools. So you don't need to go out of your ecosystem. You use your favorite automation tool, and we just bring the generators to your ecosystem. So that's the idea behind. But we start and focus now on Playwright first, and all the others are more experiments. Sometimes I agree with some other testing friends that we will build something together. So, for instance, we did the one experiment with C sharp. There is no official support for that, but I found some guys, they were excited about this. So I said, okay, I'll help you to slightly open some features so you can build it for C sharp as well. So they are now using it with C sharp.
Is there anything that you guys do with mobile right now, Marcel?
Not yet,
Yeah.
but we are discussing now. We are currently discussing with some first customers in mobile. The only exception with mobile is that we are having some customers using WebDriver IO with Appium, and they are running this with on native mobile apps. But it's super small. I would say it's at the beginning of that journey. We are considering to expand it into the mobile, but as I said, there are some
It's
certain things we are focusing on, and some need to wait. So this is one of the waiting.
I got you. I mean, the kind of the big three that I see everywhere is obviously the UI, right?
Yeah,
But then services and mobile, right?
yeah.
Do y'all do anything? Is there any way to do any of this with services?
You mean APIs, right? Like
Yes, sir.
REST API, or some
Yes, sir.
SOAP APIs or GraphQL. We don't have anything for that. But I think the order for us would be mobile and then API if we would go into that area. But I think there are brilliant tools in API, but Playwright could handle API testing. So, and we are close to them, so maybe
Yeah,
that
yeah.
could be another alternative. But we are fully focused on web automation,
Hmm.
and all the other things are more like opportunistic. So if some customer come and say, I have a huge budget for this, hey guys, modify the step number 4 out of these 4 steps and deliver code to test APIs, because the rest might be, I don't know, relevant. Probably it's not for the API. For the mobile it would work like that. So because
Okay.
you have all the other steps, you just need to adjust the tools to click or to tap and fill are different, but the rest of the flow of the process is the same. You just need to change the interactions, and then deployment for the mobile is the big topic for
When
us.
when you were you executing like I didn't see a what browser was popping up? Was a browser was
You
it
could do whatever Playwright could do. There is some functionality that you can adjust it here by setting up the browser
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and what's that? Emulate the mobile or change the viewport and so on. But
Okay.
I think this is not the. I would suggest to do everything in a following the Playwright config, because that's super robust and super nice how they implement it, and you have that available in repository via the Playwright config file, so you can then. And we are trying to be just extra layer, not interfering with what it's in the project, but boosting the efficiency of the traditional test automation workflow. That's the idea behind. Either you use Playwright or Cypress or any other tool. So the vision of the product is that it's some kind of just a booster of what you already have. So
So after you run your test, do they and I see a couple of tabs over your baseline. Do they go does it automatically go to that baseline after you say it's passed or something?
yeah, the baselining is basically something what is visual testing related.
Okay.
You do not need to use it, but when you run it first time, you are getting these steps in status new. Once you approve them, it will become a baseline. Actually, we are running this demo, so I could try to do it here. So what is happening here that I am now approving this screenshot, like a first step of that agent, and then it becomes a baseline. And with the
Yeah,
baseline,
that's
you have
sort
all.
of what I meant,
Yeah,
right? That after you run it the first time, it's your baseline for the second time, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you can do it like semi automatically, or you could do it in like manually. It depends on what you prefer. So this is it. Yeah. And then I didn't probably show you the other the visual testing idea I was talking about. If we go to agent and see here, the error here is because of some quota issue, but it's not important. I would like to show you. Yeah. What you could do is that you can query the front end by asking the questions. This one. So, is the login displayed correctly? This is what I was talking about. And I don't know whether I think it's not enabled. Let me see. It is not. But the point is that you could use this as an assert.
Okay.
Sometimes we use these assertions like page should contain or this element should be visible or anything like that. But in this case, you are asking about the screenshot itself, whether there is, I don't know, alcoholic beer visible on that product category page, or something which might be super random in your application. So these kind of assets could be implemented there. Of course, then we could discuss whether it should be hard or soft assert, because maybe you don't wanna let this kind of asset fail your pipeline and all the other topics. But that would be deep dive into the product itself. But this, I feel like I didn't see this one anywhere else. I saw only one. I think some guys from Uber were talking about these visual assertions. They built something custom for them, and apart from that, I didn't see this kind of assertions in any other products. So that might be something different you cannot spot easily somewhere else. So that.
If we wanted to sort of integrate with like a CI/CD, is any of that capable of doing that right now, Marcel?
Actually, this is CI/CD we are running here in GitHub. So I don't know what other CI/CD you would like to. Uh,
Well, let's just say we had a whole bunch of tests in Jenkins, right?
yeah.
And we wanted to validate, and this is part of our testing, but not all of our
Mhm.
testing,
Yeah,
right?
you can do that. For the we call it for the small customers. You basically integrate this GitHub repository with your infrastructure,
Oh, okay.
and for the bigger customers, we can directly deploy this into Jenkins. So you can completely remove GitHub from that process, and we could store everything in your versioning system. Either you use, I don't know, GitLab or some other bit Bitbucket, no, Bitbucket and Bamboo. I am always confused. It's Bitbucket from Atlassian because Bamboo is CI/CD. So you can have a Bitbucket with Jenkins, so we can directly integrate our solution there. So there wouldn't be then the GitHub, but there would be another repo and another CI/CD like a Jenkins to run this. But it's for the enterprise customers where we spend a few weeks to deploy that, onboard the team, train them, and customize and
Sure,
integrate. So
sure,
it's not
sure.
it.
There's a element of professional services. It
Yeah,
seems like
yeah,
in that as well,
yeah.
right? Do y'all do professional services, or do y'all partner with someone to
we
do some of
do
that?
we do work on the idea of having partners and like implementators. We got a few discussions with Accenture, and now I'm talking with Microsoft to expand that as well. But we also talk to some small players here. We wouldn't know the brands, but the general idea is that we will focus on the product, and then we will have some integration, customization, and support partners for the bigger players, and we focus only on the product and on this kind of PLG or product-led growth type of
Uh-huh.
customers, like self-service customers. So yeah,
All right.
so
Thanks, Marcel. Man, that was pretty cool, man.
this is my baby. Yeah.
So I don't know if you can talk about roadmap, and you may not, you may or may not want to, but if you can, like, what's next for Whoopee?
Yeah, actually, what we want to do is that this is still for the enterprise where we have enough time to help them to onboard, and for the smaller customers, this is for early adopters now. I think we need to improve the user experience, make it simpler, and so on. So one of the things we are working on is something like we want to turn this into, like, we have vibe coding. We would like to have it like vibe testing experience. And I
Mm,
don't want to tell you exactly how it looks because this is something which could be maybe interesting to be first on the market how to build that. But we are working on that idea of like one click solution or one touch solution for your testing. And of course that would be something like I just click one button and I get the results. That kind of experience. We are not still there yet, and it's super clear what happened. You can go there and enhance and advance that, but that's something what we are working on, which is more about the UX. We are trying to simplify the entire flow. Then, as I said, we are talking to some potential customers about mobile, which might be super interesting for all the others who are already onboarded with web, because often many customers have mobile and web, and sometimes we have also some discussions with the potential customers. They say we start with mobile and web might be alternative, but until you don't have mobile, don't come to us. So that mobile is another feature. And then I was just thinking what are the other topics, the other tools. There is a huge backlog, and I'm trying to now make it three
yeah, yeah,
summary,
it's
summary
okay,
bullet
man.
points.
I
So,
didn't
so
mean to. I sort of put you on the spot. I
yeah,
apologize. So,
yeah.
um,
No, no, no
uh,
problem. I'm just trying to make it simple and clear what I want to say. And so the other better integration with other testing frameworks. Playwright is first, and the others will follow. Mobile. and then better UX. If I would take top three, then this is the top focus. Make it super simple for everyone, and of course some things like stability, performance, robustness, and all the things. Like we still have, as you said, LLM has their own intelligence, and sometimes it's not cooperating as we would wish to. So we are trying to stabilize that one as well. So yeah, lot.
Do y'all are y'all planning on any conferences or meetups this year that you have in the
Yes,
books? Yeah.
yes, and
So where can we see you next, man?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm touring Europe mostly, or not
Okay.
mostly, only I would say. I would love to go come to US if there is any invite, but in 2 weeks I'm in Sweden, in Gothenburg, and then week after I am in Madrid, in Spain, and in the same week I am in Munich, in Germany, and I think
Wow,
in the
man, you're everywhere.
first week of June I'm in Romania, Bucharest, and then there will be I think one more online or two more online until summer break, and
Are
that's it.
these meetups or are these conferences?
All of them are conferences. One is online and for free. I think it's called. I don't wanna. I don't wanna ruin their name. Let me see what's the exact name. I think it's something like QA Global Summit or
That's a lot of conferences, man, in
no,
Europe.
Testing Summit. The name is Testing Summit 2025.
It's awesome, man.
So I'll be
That's
there.
great. It's interesting, but I'm in the US and I'd love to go to conferences in Europe, and you're in
Yeah,
Europe and you want to
you
come to
should
the
come.
US.
We'll have some nice follow-up discussion.
Okay, man. Is there anything else that you want to chat about that maybe I missed or something?
I don't know. I just want to thank you that
Oh
you
yeah.
invite me. It was fun
Yeah,
and
well,
nice.
yeah, Marcel, this was great, man. This was awesome insight, and thank you for coming out. And I love having you, man. I love having you on the show, and I love your honest answers. Right, and it's I when I talk to products a lot, I just get product fluff a lot,
Uh-huh. I see.
and I hate that, by the way. Right, so I just like talking honestly about products and opportunities,
Yeah, yeah.
so I love that you bring that out and
You
kind
know,
of
I'm tester, so I'm criticizing everything, even my own work. So that's
so thanks, man. I appreciate it. Um, and we'll see you at the next show.
okay. Thank you very
All right.
much. Bye.